Start recording. What did I get? There it is. And so stream is up, and I got to tweet it out. Sherman, keep our guest.
Oh, yeah.
For a moment.
Yeah. So, Drew, just so you know, I would never have had expected you to listen to our shows with Corey or DJ. We are starting to get to the point where we don't really care what happens on the show as long as people are entertained. So I wouldn't expect you to curb whatever you want to say about anything so much as we don't really do politics too much here, because you know how NASCAR people get with politics.
I like how he says it after we start recording. Like there's NASCAR people listening in.
There are NASCAR people already listening in.
We'll rough up the edges a little bit.
Yeah, but we're not going to edit this show, by the way. There is no editing. We will let you know when we start the audio recording that will end up on iTunes and Podbean and Google Play and all those other places, so that we won't ambush you at all. Right now, it's kind of it's open domain right now. Go ahead.
No, so we're already on YouTube.
Yeah, we're
live
on YouTube.
You're whatever you're saying is now in the public domain.
What's up, everybody? I think that anybody who does know me knows that we would have been fine, but now that you told me not to do something, it's like all I want to do. So I just want to talk about
that
Jimmy
is
Carter
the whole
now.
redneck
He's out there
mantra,
still
right?
Building houses.
Right, have at it.
So I mean, that's kind of so we operate in that same sort of perspective of. I mean, we're rednecks. We're from Georgia, and we both grew up in small southern towns. And we honor the redneck mantra as often as we possibly can, with stories about, going to Stone Mountain drunk and blowing up dynamite and that sort of thing. So, there aren't a whole lot of rules here, so just keep that in mind.
Have at you. What we'll do, we'll start the show. We do this little intro thing. We'll probably disappear from you for about 90 seconds. And folks will be able to hear you, but you may not be able to hear us. It depends. It's one way or one time it's one way and another time it's another way. We have to do all our own IT, so is what it is. And then we'll get started on the show. You'll hear us bring you in, and then we'll be going. As far as the style, it's pretty much long form stuff. If you're on a story and you want to keep going, I will adjust our show notes as necessary to keep it in the sort of time block that we like to do. And if you're rolling, just keep rolling. Germans bombing Pearl Harbor and all the rest of that mess.
Am I going to be able to see you guys?
On YouTube, you'll be able to see us if you see the link.
Are you on your computer now, Drew?
Yeah.
Yeah, so go to your phone and click
I tagged him on the YouTube link.
Okay.
So if you go on Twitter,
it'll be 6 seconds behind, but you'll at least be able to see what we look like.
It ain't nothing pretty.
Is that really going to enhance my experience very much?
No, not really. But what
sorely disappointed.
What you will be able to do is you'll see the if you look down underneath that top video that it puts on the main screen before you switch it to widescreen, you can click on an icon that it will give you the wall feed, and you can actually participate on the wall or at least read what people are saying or asking. That just know that it'll be 6 seconds behind.
All right, cool.
All right. Well, we got some folks on. We're cooking with gas now. Sherwin, you ready to get started?
Yeah. I actually need to get on the YouTube myself so that I can be a good steward of the show.
Sure. Drew, are you ready to get started?
Yeah.
All right, sir. We'll disappear, like I said, 60 to 90 seconds, and we'll be right back with you. With that, we are recording now. Welcome, y'all! That's right. This is the Pregame Engineer Tailgate Mayor Racing Podcast, episode number 215. It's Tuesday, October 8th, 2019. I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace. I'm in the PTM Podcast studio. Pregame Engineer Andrew Sherwin. What's up, dude?
I've been scolded too many times for introducing the guest before you get a chance to do it, so I'm not going to do it today. We have a hilarious person from the WellRED Comedy group on today, and I will let you give the introduction.
Well, that's right. Before we do that, y'all know what the deal is. This podcast is sponsored by you. That's right. You go to patreon.com/PTM. Join the What You Drink Club for as little as $1 a month. Get that free koozie, some stickers. Best part is, every cent this year, we'll once again donate to sponsoring drivers. So join the PETM posse today.
Y'all hear me? Y'all are cutting it
the
out.
support you love. This week's show brought to you by official sponsors at the $5 and up per month level. Those are Laura Henshaw, Aaron Beard, Robert Keplinger, Colby McClamer, Kevin Ryan, Keeper, Patrick Cleary, Jeff Brown, Brendan Crock, Helen Godon, Stacey Wright, Brandon Carl, Ricky Porter, Bob Lesmo, Julie Bowser, John Pearson, Eddie Greer, Third, Young Sports, Dave Moses, Patrick Johnson, Brett Morris, Crystal Smoke, Fred Rosado, Chad Knapp, Stacey Coleman, Matthew Camper, Lisa Chinana, Rick Houston, Todd Oliver, and Sarah Anbari. Woo!
All right.
Well, we're ready to get this
I think
thing.
Drew distracted you a little bit.
Maybe a little bit. It's fine. Tonight's guest, he's an all-state high school quarterback, a bar-certified lawyer, and now stand-up comedian and member of the WellRED Comedy crew. He's on Twitter at Drew, M-O-R-G Comedy. It's Drew Morgan. Drew, what's up, dude?
What's up, everybody?
We are having a blast tonight. We're going to have some fun with the show and everything. Drew, we start the show off the same way every time. What are you drinking tonight?
I am drinking a German lager, Warsteiner. It's October, and I drink a lot of German beers in October. I love Germany, and I want to go to Oktoberfest. So that's my dream. Everybody get you a dream.
There you go.
Whoa.
Love it. The
Hell
Warsteiner.
yeah.
Warsteiner, yeah. All right.
And this is like their, Coors or Budweiser.
They have a lot
Yeah,
of
Warsteiner's got some decent beers.
Yeah, they do.
Yeah.
Sherwin, what are we drinking?
So I'm in my Chick-fil-A cup, I might have brought a vodka White Claw.
Vodka White Claw. Interesting.
But
all
I'm
kinds of beers.
also
Did you
got
add vodka to a White Claw?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
It's a strong move. It's already a vodka soda. And my man was like, yeah, but I drink doubles.
Well, that's
Double.
I also got a Dogfish Head Palo Santo Marron brown ale that I'm working on over here, and then we'll get deep into
we got the
Jim
Jim
Beam over there. What you
and
got,
all
Rusty?
The rest of that, you know what? I had a new beer shipment come in, but here's the deal: they're delivered to my house now, as opposed to like where I used to work and had to have an old coworker, bring me the beer and whatnot. But I get the beer of the month or whatever it is club thing. Now I had to go down to the FedEx ground location. Like, this is a huge facility. I had to go down there because they tried to deliver
This is
3
a good
times
story.
while I'm at work. Now I walk in to the customer delivery section. This is after I called them, and Bill from not the U.S.
Yeah.
he told me, yeah, just head on down there, and they'll have it ready for you because it's at the facility. And I'm like, okay, Norcross is only like 15 minutes from here. I'll just roll down there. And so I rolled up, and I went in to the customer pickup area, and there is a sign that says, there's just nothing but a phone and a sign. And the phone is sitting there. The sign says, dial this number. If nobody answers, dial this number. If nobody answers, dial this number. There are 7 numbers. I counted 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I went through 4 of them before somebody picked up, and they were like, hello? And I was like, yeah, I'm customer pickup. They acted like I was the first person to ever come there for a customer pickup at this gigantic facility. And there's a line of people behind me. I hung up afterwards, and I go, by the way, phone number 4 worked for me. I don't know about y'all. So anyway, we got the beer out of it. So that's a plus.
Woo! Redneck noise.
Oh, well, let's bring our esteemed guests in with us. Drew, y'all were in Oklahoma City recently, and you have a show coming up in Phoenix. Tell both members of our audience about all that.
Well, I'm touring with Trey Crowder and Corey Forster. I believe you've had Corey on the show before. We were in Texas and then Oklahoma City last week. We're going to be in Phoenix next week, and then we got a couple days off. And then I think we're going to be in Raleigh.
Raleigh.
I can pull that up in a minute. You can go to WellREDComedy.com for the exact dates and to get tickets. That's WellRED, R-E-D, like smart redneck, because, it's a pun. We're clever.
So tell us about. So you're going to Phoenix. What have you noticed about? Because we can kind of infer possibly north versus south, but how about east versus west? And you're living out there on the West Coast. So what's the eastern audience versus a western audience? What are your expectations of them going in?
Well, I guess first of all we should know that the West Coast is very different than the West. Specifically, what I'm getting at is like Colorado is very different than Southern California, both of which are different than Western Washington or Portland or whatever. So, I don't know what I expect in Phoenix. I've been to Phoenix before. I expect smaller crowds than we get in the South and in the West because the Phoenix is its own thing. It's actually the closest to LA culturally I've ever experienced. I mean, I've only been there a couple days at a time, so I don't really know if that's fair. But it's like a lot of fake titties, a lot of fake hair, a lot of nice cars. It's like people who want to live in LA, but, they don't want to deal with the traffic or whatever. That's what I feel like. And then old people. It's also like the Florida of the West. I don't know if you guys knew that. I think you can live longer in Phoenix because it's so dry, which is weird because it's a desert. It's like strange that we send all our old people to the swamp in the desert. You know what I mean? It's like, well, you guys, listen, we don't need you here anymore. Just fucking go to the desert. Get out of here. And they do. But Phoenix is so nice, and they've got, is it Arizona or Arizona State that's close by?
So Arizona's in Tucson, and Arizona State is in Glendale.
I think Glendale's close by.
Yeah. That's a suburb.
To quote my buddy Chris Heller, who's a lawyer and probably doesn't want me to say his name on podcast, walked across the quad when I was 12 years old, and I was a man when I got to the other side at Arizona State.
Yeah.
And like, I'm not trying to be like a gross bro, like, oh, the chicks are so hot. It's not just the chicks, first of all. Like, everyone is in really good shape and good looking, and it's so much so that it's weird. Do you know what I mean? Have you ever been to a place where you're like, what the fuck is going what is happening? The only places I've really experienced that is like New York at certain times of year and in certain areas, certain parts of LA. But here's the thing. In LA, like, you might experience that like down on the boardwalk. You go to Venice Beach, like all the dudes are at Muscle Beach in shape. You see all these,
Right.
actresses and waiters and all that walk by, and they're all hot, But then there's like a dude putting meth in his arm right in front of you, talking about the aliens or whatever, and you're like, oh, balance, yin and yang. In Phoenix, it's all hot people and old people.
No.
And so what do I expect on tour? Not always the best comedy crowds if you're talking about old people and hot people.
None of the.
Well, I think everybody knows.
Very different reasons think it's all about them.
Yeah.
That's not to say we won't have fun in Phoenix. We'll have people come out. What I love about our tour, and I mean this and I love it, when we go to a city, any city, we get people driving in from 2-3 hours away. We don't come to their town because their town has 400 people in it or whatever. So they drive in from the sticks, and I'm one of them. I'm from the sticks.
Mm-hmm. So you were a public defender and now comedian. Did one lead to the other? Did you just kind of drop a case one day and say, you know what, heck with this, I've got it?
I wish that'd be a more interesting answer, I think, like if I was a character in a sitcom, but it was slow. I don't know, man. I went to law school. I did that. That was a mistake. And being a public defender meant a lot to me. If anyone isn't quite sure what a public defender is, they're those people if you ever seen on TV or TV shows where they're like, if you can't afford an attorney, one will be assigned to you who has too high of a caseload, and he or she probably just got out of law school, and you're fucked. Good luck. I'm sorry.
Yeah, well,
that's what public defenders are. But there's a movement going on in this country to make public defense stronger, to knock their caseloads down, to give them better training, to have older lawyers in those offices. And I came of age or got out of law school probably 5 years after that started. I got to go to Miami-Dade County, which is one of the best offices in the country. They have their own training program there that's award-winning. I then moved to Knoxville back home, and they take part of another award-winning training program that HBO did a documentary about called Gideon's Army, because the name of the program is Gideon's Promise. The reason that is it's a double entendre. Obviously, Gideon was an angel, and public defenders are angels. But also because the first case where a man was granted the right to a public defender in a criminal case is called Gideon versus, I want to say Connecticut, but I probably got the state wrong. That was the dude's last name. Anyway, I'm saying all that to say it meant a lot to me. I really liked being a public defender as far as the identity. I was proud of the work that we were doing. You know, I don't really give a shit how people feel about criminals in the justice system when I talk to them, but I know that people like, they always used to ask me, you know, like, how do you represent somebody who did it? And I'm like, man, that's easy. It's when a sumbitch didn't do it when it got hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Anyway, I did all that and was really proud of the work I was doing, but I also just wasn't built to do it. Comedy was a pipe dream that I've had since I was 10. And when I finally got around to trying it, I happened to be good at it. Quitting public defense was something that I had to do no matter what. And it just so happened that I had fallen in love with comedy. So I moved to New York. I was doing document review, which is like the worst kind of legal work. Oof. And then I was doing stand-up at night.
So you said that they started bringing the older folks in, and then immediately we start shipping them off to Florida and Phoenix, evidently. So
yeah, well, I said older lawyers. I guess I mean like 50-year-olds. My papa used to say once a man turns 75, they should take him out back and shoot him. And he was 78 when he told us that. So that's kind of where I stand.
Straight out of the Giver and the what is it, Soylent Green and all the rest of that.
Yeah. So is your papa a Batman papa?
That meal replacement shit?
That's right. They took all the old people and turned them into it. Spoiler alert. What? Sorry. That was, Soylent Green is people. I don't know if the statute of limitations on Charlton Heston are up.
I was going to say, I want to ask Drew one question because I think he invented this for the guys.
Stop right now and explain to me. We're eating people in Soylent. What is this? I'm so excited about this conspiracy. Please tell me where we got this.
This is a movie, dude. Soylent Green, the movie.
That's a movie. Okay,
yeah, with Charlton Heston and
my ignorance here. What's happening?
You know, they have one quote in there because women in that movie, because this is like some dystopian future or whatever, and women are treated as just objects, like further than we've ever treated women as objects before. And Charlton Heston, of all people, says at one point, "You're a fine piece of furniture," is what he tells this one gal. And so, as bad as that is, I tell that to my wife every once in a while, just to test the waters. Now, I always get slapped or hit, and deservedly so. It's a horrible thing to say, but there's something about me that it's like, I got to say it every once in a while. Hey, Serena, good job on dinner tonight. You're a fine piece of furniture. And I mean, just...
Does she know the movie?
Oh, yeah, she knows. She knows what I'm quoting, and it's still like, this is not okay. You're not allowed to say that, but, you know, in the confines of just the two of us, I can at least get that out of the system or something.
That's pretty funny.
So yeah, Soylent Green, dude. All the old people are sent off, and they're made into like the little tablets or whatever, and Soylent Green is people.
Can't believe we've had such a hard time getting a TV show made, but they got a movie about that fucking made, man. Damn, what a world. All right, I'm sorry. What was your question? And by the way, who had the question? Which one of you?
This is Sherwin. Sorry, no, I was
Sherwin and Ricky. Now, are those y'all's real names?
No, my name's Andrew, just like yours.
Because Ricky Wallace.
Yes, that's me, and I go by Rusty because NASCAR, Rusty Wallace, all that stuff.
But you sound like Rusty Wallace's hard Scrabble brother. You know what I mean? Like the one that he had more talent, but he didn't want to work hard. He just wanted to drink beer and fuck whores. You know what I mean?
You know what?
Wallace.
I think you've
Ricky
nailed
Wallace
it.
Had more talent than his brother ever would.
You've nailed it right on the head. Except I don't know that I've got the pull for the whores at this point. So yeah, I think you've.
So I mean, we've told the story so many times. Drew, I'll do a really quick synopsis. I found out we had a pledge in our fraternity 20 years ago that was named Ricky Wallace, and I just said, your new name's Rusty, and you drive the number 2 Miller Lite NASCAR Cup car, and you need to go figure out everything about that.
Well, Well, funny thing is, I was a half NASCAR fan at that point. I'm like, I kind of know a little bit about this, but it was a half fan at that point.
So that's how we became friends 20 years ago.
Damn.
Yeah, it's been a while.
The question I wanted to ask you, just because somebody said Batman, I think Rusty did, is which one of the three of y'all, Drew, came up with Papaw Batman?
Okay. As I recall it, Corey was talking about, and there's some video I have this. I put it on my Snapchat back when I was trying to do that because I forgot that I was 35, and I saved it and I posted I only have a piece of them yelling at each other at the condo that they used to have at Stand Up Live in Huntsville. I think that's where we were. I think we were at Huntsville Stand Up Live that weekend. That was before they bought the house. They own a house now. The comedy club does. Before they owned that house, they had a condo that they rented. We were in that condo. Corey had told us, I want to say earlier that day, that he was going to become this vigilante Papaw. So, I mean, the idea of him becoming that was all Corey. Now, Trey and I often fight over the origin story of things like this. I remember going, no, 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 Papaw, which I did as soon as Corey started saying it on the podcast. But we had already been talking about it for a couple days. So it's possible, it's going to be some kind of combination of me and Trey making fun of Corey arriving at Papaw Batman. And Corey has a gift where you say something to him that should humiliate him and make him question every decision he's ever made in his life and the arguments that he's making. And instead, he just embraces it and is like, yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Papaw Batman. Like you say a thing like, yeah, that's ridiculous. You can't be a Papaw Batman. And he's like, yeah, Papaw Batman. Hits.
Perfect. I'm in.
Hits. Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Douglas Ruggers Cho. For y'all that don't know what Cho is, that's Chief Hittin Officer.
We've already had Corey and DJ on the show. What's it?
Baby, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm doing that podcast, baby.
Yeah. Oh, DJ is awesome.
Dude, what's it like traveling with those guys? Is this like an unfilmed Jackass show, or is it like more tame once you get into it, or how wild is it with them?
I think you cut out. I got the Jackass part, but what's the question pertaining to?
What's it like traveling with those guys? Is it like a Jackass show, or is it?
Man, I don't know. It depends. I mean, we were a lot wilder back in the day. I'll say that. When we first started working together, and some of this footage is, I hope, gone forever. Some of it I still go back and revisit to remind myself how far we came. But, dude, it was a shit show. I'm so glad we got, obviously we're not famous, but, we've got some stuff going on with Comedy Central, and we've got all these other things going on. I'm so glad it happened now when we're in our early to mid-30s and not when we started working together. Because even as nobodies, we would get together and we had that, like, such a immature attitude about how art gets made, where you're like, well, I heard one time that my favorite album, they made that on drugs, so I guess we're doing drugs. And it's like, just trying to do drugs guilt-free. You could have just done the drugs. Like, you didn't have to, like, bring a camera out and try to do a fucking sketch about all the gods or whatever. So it used to be real wild. Now, I mean, dude, we fart and we drink, and Trey and Corey often get nude or close to nude and eat like banana pudding together. They're truly in love with each other in all the good and bad ways.
I was going to say, I get the feeling that Corey takes his clothes off a lot.
Well, it gets hot down here.
I'm the most nude, if that's what you're getting at.
It gets hot down here.
I was going to do this shirtless, and I didn't because I have a Sharpie on my nipple from where I let a fan sign my titties because we signed her titties. It was the whole thing.
Oh, man. I don't know where I was going. I got
distracted.
I got distracted by the Sharpie titties. That'll happen. Tell us about Billy Falk. So that's your the
alter
name.
ego now, or
that was a sketch I wrote that we did for Comedy Central about I guess big city restaurants trying to be Southern because we're in right now because we're super cool.
Yeah.
And if you're out there and you're listening, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? Just type in WellRED Comedy Central and 2 sketches will pop up. We're working on some more with them. And one of them is Corey and I are sitting in this restaurant, and the idea is we're in New York or L.A., and it's a Southern theme restaurant, but they kind of didn't get it exactly right. And it kind of devolves from there. A fan of ours who I've hung out with before in Knoxville, she teaches literature at UT. She has written some stuff for the Bitter Southerner that I was a fan of, and I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna follow this person on Twitter. Her name is Rachel, and I can't remember her last name, and her name is Harlot on Twitter.
All right.
She's like a big Dolly Parton fan, and she writes for the Bitter Southerner, so I followed her, and then I realized she was a fan of ours. Anyway, she used that sketch as an example of a thing in one of her lit classes today.
Oh, man.
And so I was like, oh shit, I'm the William Faulkner of Appalachia. And she was like making fun of me because she always does because she's a teacher, and I called her lame and changed my name to Billy Falk.
I love it. There it is, the William Faulkner, Billy Falk.
Yeah, William.
But that'll just last a day. That's not really like much of an alter. My real alter ego is Okra Boy, aka Little Turtle.
With no context and a sip of beer. You gotta love it. You know what?
Everybody knows who Okra Boy is.
The 2 things you don't talk about in public and on a podcast are politics and religion, so let's go ahead and do it.
Right.
For a moment. You grew up, so we were just listening to the live album coming up to this.
The Lexington album.
Yeah. And I believe, did you say that you grew up Southern Baptist? Is that right?
Yeah, my dad started preaching when I was like 14, so I call myself a step preacher's kid. But me and my mom were already in church. You know, we had been praying for him for a while when he finally got in church when I was like 10 or 11. So yeah, I grew up Missionary Baptist. I say Southern Baptist on the record because in my head, people are going to be listening to that album in Connecticut, and if you say Missionary Baptist, they might not know what the fuck that means or what the difference is. But it was all like independent Baptist churches.
So we grew up.
Oh, right. So not touring, because Baptist preachers tend to tour through different
places. My dad
places.
does tour. He's an evangelical at this point. But see, he's not associated with the Southern Baptist Association. See, I liken him to an indie band. You know what I mean? He doesn't want to sell out to the man. Like, if he's going to smite people and send them to hell, he's doing it for the love of the game, not for corporate reasons, you know.
Gotcha.
That has to be very similar then to what I grew up, because I always called it Southern Baptist, but they weren't part of a club
Pentecostal for a little while, weren't you?
We were snakes out of the ceiling for a little
That's
while.
That's what I'm saying, snake church.
Yeah.
Snakes out of the ceiling. Is it because you get scared and you just throw them up there?
Oh, no. Look up the rattlesnake preachers, man.
Pentecostal, baby.
I'm not handling snakes. I'm confused about the ceiling part.
Oh, well, that was the, I don't know, that was a joke. Rattlesnakes falling out of the ceiling. I guess they didn't really fall out of the ceiling. They come out of the, I don't know.
They're already in a little cage.
Dude, you didn't have to go through all that trouble, you know?
Yeah, right. The whole ceiling.
There's like one deacon who has to put the fucking snakes up in the ceiling.
A lot of engineering there. Well, one thing.
That's his job. Fucking Earl comes in at 8:30 on Sunday morning. Hey, I got to put the snakes up the ceiling again.
Right.
No, it's his favorite trick. He does it every Sunday.
When you talk about the snakes out of the ceiling, you do not think about the logistics that go into that, for sure.
I think,
so,
man,
grown up,
God only helps those who help themselves. I said that to my dad one time, and he pointed out that wasn't in the Bible, and it made me so furious.
As a Southern Baptist, or whatever we're calling the you called it missionary style Baptist?
Missionary Baptist.
Okay,
yeah, missionary style. Yeah,
style Baptist.
Yeah,
only the one style of sex is okay.
So here's what's interesting. I've married a Catholic.
I converted to reverse cowgirl for a little while.
I married a Catholic, and
reverse cowgirl.
Right? Yeah, perfect. Yeah. And so she didn't know until recently, because I had not, I hadn't gone in a long time or whatever, and I hadn't tried to drag her into the whole ordeal. But it was probably in the last 2 years. We've been together 20 years, and it was probably in the last 2 years that we were just talking about how church works, right? And probably the same for you if it's missionary style Baptist or Southern style Baptist or whatever it is. Or what we did was, I feel like the preacher needs some amount of confirmation. So I was telling her, we were watching some show or whatever it was, and they were getting, the preacher was preaching, and people in the audience were kind of going, yep, mm-hmm, all right, yeah, amen, mm-hmm. It was all the mm-hmm. And she was looking at me like, is that a thing? And I was like, dude, I mean, she's not a dude, but I was like, dude, mm-hmm. You don't understand. Like, that's exactly, that's what Southern Baptist is you have to agree with the preacher's side. If he says something that you're into, yeah, mm-hmm, give him some feedback. You know, he's thriving on the feedback loop. Yeah. Is that the same thing you've gone through too? Is that, or was that just, down here?
I mean, that's the main use of amen. I mean, you say amen when you get done praying, but the main use of amen is encouraging that preacher, you know. Amen, brother.
Right. He's on a roll. He's saying something. Yeah. You got to go with it. Yeah. Sherwin, let's talk a little NASCAR, and while we're doing it, we'll bring it back around for Drew and get some opinion pieces. Here we go. Tearing it down from this weekend. First period, Larson takes a win. Truex second, and notables. I thought this was interesting. DiBenedetto 7th, Jimmy 8th, Kurt 9th. So all of them kind of playing spoiler to whoever's trying to be up there in the front. So
well, how about Chase blowing a motor on lap 8?
Yeah, that's a rough deal.
Not great. Joey Logano tore up an axle on lap 0.
Before the thing starts. Sherwin picked Larson to not make it out of round 2.
Yeah, so I failed on that.
Larson, and so Drew, here's the deal: is there's 3 races in this round of the playoffs in NASCAR. Before this round started, Sherwin said Larson will not make it to the next round. Well, Larson wins the next race, which is an automatic qualifier in the next round. So already, I'm not trying to make fun of Sherwin, but I'm trying to make fun of Sherwin.
Well, yeah, you should.
So it didn't quite work out in your favor there, Drew. What's a worse bet that you've ever made?
Ooh, man, I would say stand-up comedy for sure.
Because it took so long?
What's that?
Because it took so long, or what's
every day is a nightmare. No, I'm kidding. Honestly, if I was going to go that route, I mean, I was just joking, but if I was going to go that route, it would probably be law school because it was so damn expensive, and I still haven't paid that shit off. But I'm trying to think of like a more regular bet that I've made that was terrible. I took, let's see, last time we were in Vegas.
Pause.
He's thinking. Last time he was in Vegas, he didn't put it all on the horse that did his business for the
long pause.
Well, I like to do like odds to win the NCAA tournament this year. You know what I mean? Like early on or whatever.
I was listening to something recently that said
like this year's tournament or like the next one.
The next year's tournament, like you can get odds on it before the season starts.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, sure. I'm trying to think of the last time I did that. Like, those are the kinds of bets I usually make. I feel like there was one, though, that I lost that's not coming to my head. Listen, guys, and I mean this sincerely. It's something I've been talking about on my own podcast a lot. I have had a lot of concussions, and I am so very worried about it. And I've been looking into it. They ain't nothing they can do for you. But I can't remember. There was a bet. And I can't remember what it was, but I did not want to do, the very public shame of, and I had to. I can't remember. I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. And in the After Dark portion of the YouTube, let's talk about this more. Remember this, and we'll talk about it again.
Oh, the concussion deal?
Yeah, and we'll figure out how to get you connected with Dale Jr. and the Pittsburgh Medical Center.
Oh, yeah. Dale Jr. was, he was bad in it, and they did something that, I don't know if it's superficial or whatever, but fixed it, I'll say, with air quotes and whatnot. So it's
there's some kind of therapy they can try, and I was thinking about going to UCLA for it. But, I know that's kind of a downer. It's a little funny how I got here. I tried to ride my big wheel down the slide when I was 7 years old. That was my first major concussion. I took one to the chest at home plate playing catcher when I was like 9 years old. Like a kid was charging, and I held on to the ball, got knocked the fuck out.
You're right.
High school football, I can remember concussions. Can you guys remember? I mean, obviously not the concussion, but like, you know, Trey's got a joke about it. I don't want to step on his joke, but his joke's like, you know, in my town growing up, we didn't have things you guys had, like, you know, training and jobs and money and concussions. You know, like we just called that getting your bell rung.
Right,
know?
Right. Yep.
Yeah, no.
I got my bell rung my sophomore year before I moved to quarterback. Pro right meant I lined up on the left on the line of scrimmage. I was the wideout that would go opposite the set side my sophomore year. I could not remember what pro right meant all night, but I knew what pro left meant. Yeah. Like, how weird is that? Like, pro left, I'd line up. Every time they called pro right, I knew the play that came after it, but I would look at the quarterback and be like, I don't know where to go.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, that's because I got knocked the fuck out.
Yeah.
Then I jumped out of a boat right after I graduated high school without a life jacket on while it was going down the lake, which was very stupid, and don't remember the rest of the day. Was vomiting and everything. It was a whole deal. I got home, and my girlfriend was walking at the time, was walking towards my parents' house, and my dad opened the door, and I was puking by the car, and my dad was like, "Did you get drunk?" And she just started crying. She was like, "No, he jumped out of a boat." And the doctor that night made me take 2 breathalyzers because he could not believe somebody would do what I did and be sober.
Love it.
Well, I got a funny story to tell you about that when I was drunk, but Rusty's got to run the sheet.
I think we've heard it on the show before, too. But, Sherwin has, we'll call it, riding on a tube. He racked his balls and puked in midair.
Hit a wake, yacked in midair.
Yep. I have submarine.
On yourself?
What's that?
Did you get it on you?
No. Got none of it on me.
Wow. Was able to deal with it. I have submarined after going over wake. I have submarined a jet ski going about 60 miles an hour at the time and then woke up underwater. So I understand.
Yeah, they said I woke up underwater. I don't remember any of that.
Yeah.
They said I climbed back in the boat, and I was looking at them, and they were all looking at me like,
what's the deal?
Finally I go, what?
How are you alive?
They were like, are you okay? And I go, yeah, what are you talking about? And they were like, you don't know what you just did? And I was like, what?
No. They're like, that is awesome. Pass me a beer.
Yeah.
Can I have a beer, please? And a life jacket to put on like a diaper.
Right. Second period. Passing dirty air. Everyone's talking about it, Sherwin. What can you do here? We're in Dover. And Kyle Busch talked about it. We'll talk about that part in a second. But I don't know what to say. There was 8 cars on the lead lap. Jimmy Johnson was the last one on the lead lap. It was a little wild.
Well, I think what we saw was an exposure of what this program is with the package. And I think they didn't realize they probably should have brought the short track program to Dover to make it a little interesting.
That's a good point. We had a great Bristol. They announced several weeks ago, we're bringing the same thing we brought before. After Kyle Busch had kind of predicted it. He sort of Nostradamus this deal. He said earlier this year in a famously frustrated interview that, he said something along the lines of, and I'm not quoting him here, but he said, this race sucked, you can't pass, and they're not going to do anything about it. You know what I mean?
Ooh,
yeah,
I forgot about that. But
so that was
he was not wrong.
Right, he wasn't wrong, but he still was. He was right, and he did it in his way. But that was totally a left turn from what what people thought was going to happen in whatever interview. He's had a couple left turn interviews. So, Drew, my question to you: have you had any left turn interviews? You've been on any local radio stations? And they're asking you questions. Hey, so we've got the guy, it's maybe the morning show or whatever, and they're telling lame jokes that, nobody who's actually listening is laughing at, but they're laughing their asses off. And I don't know, I'm painting a story right there. But any interviews that you've been in that took a left turn and you were like, I don't care, other than this one?
I was going to say, right now, this question that you guys could have sent me so I could have prepared something, I'm feeling a little bit left turny. I don't know. I don't think I've been. There's one topic that I don't like talking about anymore, and I used to talk about it, which is related to my brother. My brother is he's in prison, and it's a whole deal. And I've had that come up since then, where I didn't want to talk about it, and people like very much want me to, especially because of the type of book that we wrote, the Liberal Redneck Manifesto, Dragging Dixie Out of the Dark. Get it? There's a whole section on NASCAR, but and moonshine. But that was like, I guess, kind of awkward for people. Where it's like, hey, I just don't want to talk about that.
Yeah.
I didn't bring that one to you.
What's that?
I should.
What?
Because I finished.
Oh, you
that
finished the book? Yeah. I got to read the book.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
I finished it before I finished the junior book that I brought you.
Okay.
So I owe you 2 books.
So Kyle Larson, third period, Kyle Larson's wife. So Drew, for the winner of the race, his wife, in Victory Lane, shotguns a beer, and not just shotguns, destroys the rest of the field that's trying to do it.
A tall boy.
And like, if you watch a video, the other
we
dude
should have a new word for that. If you're shotgun a tall boy, it should be called like a rifle, or bazooka.
I like that. Yeah, bazooka.
I'm 100% with you on that, Drew. Dude, the guy that won the race this week, his wife is redneck badass.
Oh yeah.
I'll look her up. Kyle Larson wife.
Yes. Her name is Caitlin Sweet Larson.
Yeah.
And she's hot as
yeah. So she shotguns a beer next to the other dude. The other dude's spilling all over the place. She hasn't spilled a drop. Beats him and turns it upside down, and that thing is dry as a bone.
No drops.
Drops it, and I mean, she could have done whatever at that point. She could have done the suck it thing. She could have done the
she should have done the
She could have rode the horse or done the shopping cart. It doesn't matter.
Diamond Dallas Page, just anything.
Yeah. So that was B.A.
Is she 6'2" or is he 5'6"?
Yes,
he's 5'6".
Okay.
Right.
She's like 5'10" and he's 5'6".
So
hey man, look, whatever, buddy. He's killing it.
I always try to
crushing.
I always try to bring it back around here, which is, I am not saying at all that this was an inappropriate thing. I loved it, and I think the community loved it, but it got me thinking about inappropriate imbibedness. And me and Sherwin, we've told the story on the show before, but we have showed up to a final exam back in college completely blitzed. And
yes,
props to Sherwin. He beat me on the test, but we were so far into the A+ range that it didn't even matter. I think we both still ended up, like, after extra credit and all the other mess, it was over 100 in the class. So it didn't even matter that we took the exam. But I will give him the props that you did beat me on the exam by like 4 points or whatever it was.
Well, and the funny thing about it was we showed up late and we finished before anybody else.
We showed up 10 minutes late and everyone else is there and they're trying to hurry and work through the exam. We show up, we're like, whatever, and we Christmas tree the thing and both finished before anybody else does and went and got more drunk. So, Drew, where were you inappropriately imbibed in a recent or otherwise story?
Man, there's so many. I guess the first one was my parents wouldn't let. It was in high school. My parents wouldn't let me go to a party, so my friends brought me booze the next day to baseball practice, or the next Monday or whatever, and I got hammered drunk at baseball practice and almost took a fly ball to the face. In college, this is a good one. At the end of senior year, like that last week or whatever, my parents called me and they're like, "We're going to be there in 30 minutes." And I'm like, "What? Why?" And they're like, "For your award show." And I'm like, "What are you talking about?" And they're like, "We got this letter saying we should come. We told you that." And I'm like, "I don't remember you telling me that." My friends and I had been doing what we called the Drunk Olympics that day, which involved a lot of, like, we went out into the woods, and Maryville, where I went to school, had, like, outdoor rec stuff. We were literally rock climbing walls, hammered drunk. I drank a case of beer starting at 8 a.m., I got that phone call from my parents. I was probably 20 beers deep, so I hadn't finished the whole case. Didn't even know that I had won an award. I won the political assignment. I had to go back to my dorm, put on khakis and like a jacket, stumble over there. My dad was like, Jesus Christ. When I got there, I was like, I didn't even know y'all were coming. It was a slurring drunk. And then I won the political science award of the Maryville College senior class. My parents were there like to take pictures, and I'm shit house drunk. That's probably awesome. The most inappropriate, I think. I had to meet the dean or shake hands with the dean at my law school my first year, and I was shirtless at a formal. But I think she liked it. And then as a public defender, I got inappropriately drunk a lot, but not like at work or anything. I remember one time, me and my trial partner, Jimmy, we were at this bar, and when we first got to Miami, we were Miami-Dade County Public Defenders. We had the cutest girls. Like, the prosecutor's office was all fucking men or trolls. So the young male prosecutors wanted to hang out with us all the time. And, like, I was married and Jimmy had a girlfriend. We didn't care about that, but we were very anti-prosecutor because it was very, like, like that.
I was going to ask you about that.
Beat you at trial tomorrow. So we were out early on in that experience getting hammered drunk, which I guess was appropriate because we were in a bar. But this bar had a hot tub, and we got down into our underwear and got in that hot tub and were roasting the prosecutors as they tried to hit on the girls, like, across the bar from us. And we got all the cute girls to get in the hot tub in their underwear with us, but we would tell them, you can't get in if those guys are getting, like, we would tell the guy, you're not allowed in our hot tub. Which in retrospect was very, very childish, but it was awesome.
Whatever.
That is absolutely hilarious.
I'm digging it. Fourth period, Sherwin. Hamlin's crew chief fined for a lug nut violation. We wouldn't talk about this if it wasn't Hamlin, right? Like, I mean, this is just
why would we?
Right, this is just a comma on
funny
any
to make
of the
fun
guys,
of Denny Hamlin.
But boy,
Denny Hamlin, by the way, NASCAR has so many great names. Dick Trickle, number one, of course.
Yes.
Denny Hamlin's up there too.
Yeah. He's. I'll give him that. He's got the name, but boy, he is known for cheating at every step of the game. So, Drew.
Yeah, man. You ever met a Denny? They're all cheating. That whole fucking restaurant, Denny's, is just them cheating. They're charging you $8 for egg slop. Denny's cheat. You just know that. If you met a kid named Denny, you don't trust him. If you do, that's on you.
Egg slop. I'm gonna lose it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Drew, of you, Corey, and Trey, who is the biggest cheater in the WellRED group?
Ooh, man. Probably Corey, maybe me. Trey, listen, here's what I think. Trey is almost incapable of lying. Like, perfect example. Someone, we'll like walk outside after a show and someone be like, oh my God, what's up? Let's go get a drink. And we don't want to because we're tired or, they seem creepy or whatever the situation is. But we don't want to be like, no, fuck you. So me or Corey will be like, oh man, we would, but we got to go do a podcast. We got to get it done before in the morning. And Trey, every time we'll go, what? We got to do a podcast? Y'all didn't tell me that, man. Fuck, dude, I don't want to do that. Like, right in front of the person. Like, he's just so endearingly honest. But sometimes I think Trey is quite capable of cheating, and it's all part of the long con. Because he keeps telling us he's a genius. So I think that might be the kind of genius that he is.
Yeah.
I cheat because I'm competitive. Corey cheats because he is just a liar.
Right. I see that. I can see it. Sherwin, fifth period, the Gen 7 car is being tested at Richmond this week, and Steve Phelps saying this car, and this is a quote. I didn't have the quote before. I do have the quote. It will allow teams to be profitable, which is it sounds like they're kind of listening to what's going on.
I don't know. I watched the Austin
Maybe
Dillon.
I'm an optimist. I don't know what to say.
Yeah, I watched the Austin Dillon video of him showing the pictures of the car, and I'm like, well, the body isn't a whole lot different. We already know what the body's going to be. It's going to be a composite body that they're going to have to buy. We already know that the motor is something they're going to have to buy as opposed to build. But, like, where the air intake was under the hood, I was like, Man, I just don't know, man. I don't want to be a pessimist, but I'm like, man, it doesn't look like.
I haven't seen it. I read that. I think I read that Richard Childress was the one who built it, and Richard Childress
RCR
Racing.
apparently has been the team that they've used for many years as a test case.
Right.
For new ideas, and whatever reason that is, I'm sure it's because they're paying them lots of money to do that. Because, I mean, you got to earn some stuff in order to spend that kind of money to build those things. But I don't know, the car doesn't look that much different to me. It looked like a Camaro that they raced today. So I don't know. I don't know what's underneath it. Body looks the same.
Well, and they didn't. They specifically didn't put branding on it in terms of sponsor.
They did all that swirly stuff so you couldn't, nobody can take a picture and map it.
Right. But interesting that he specifically said we're not trying to do this or that or the other. We're trying to make teams profitable, which to me sounds like a lofty goal that listens to folks. Whether or not they achieve that, we'll see.
Yeah, well, the thing that concerns me is them going to a single lug nut. But what they showed on that video was that it had 5 lug nuts. The difference is it had a decorative aluminum wheel, like a real elaborate looking aluminum wheel, which is something NASCAR's never had.
We'll talk about it in a future episode, but I will at least say, if there is a single lug nut in NASCAR, I will join the Pitchfork Mafia and riot wherever needs to be rioted to make sure that's the case.
Yeah.
I'm going to take this on a little tangent here for Drew and say that with this, with the Gen 7 car and all the other stuff, NASCAR has an ever-changing rules, and changes to the rules are pretty much every time it happens. The media and the fans are all talking about it. But it's more than any other sport, I would say, in that there's this new rule change every year. There's something new.
Well, I think the NFL has done a lot of that, too.
NFL has done a bit. So what I wanted to ask Drew is, if you were the commissioner and just pick you a sport, if you were a commissioner of any sport, what rule change would you make and put in place so that, it's either more fun, more trolly, whatever it is?
I think there could be some changes to the defensive rules in the NBA. That would make it a little bit more fun for me. I would also either pull back the 3-point line or institute a 4-point line. And I would make it to where they actually call walks. And I know that's very old man of me. And, I think a lot about the NBA. I watch it a lot. And there's some things like the Euro step. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's where you're allowed 2 steps before you do a layup. And the Euro step, you change directions in the middle of that. I've never thought that was a walk. But then there's other things like the double step back where it's a walk, period. They never call it. So I would do that. I would also make it to where you didn't get kicked out of games as easy in the NBA. I don't like hard fouls for no reason. But when it comes time for the playoffs, you got these old clips of Larry Bird cold cocking some dude who's on the end of the bench, and then he didn't even get kicked out of that game, much less the rest of the season or the next 5 games. Then we vilify somebody now because they spit on somebody or whatever. I'm not saying I'm pro spitting, but come on.
Come on, man.
I don't want this to become soccer.
Right.
Everybody flopping.
Well, and it's funny.
If you flop twice in one game, it's a technical foul.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, Drew, because I can remember all the way back to when the United States hosted the World Cup, and the very first game of the whole freaking tournament was Italy playing, and I don't remember
Italy,
who.
It doesn't matter, yeah.
And dude dove and immediately got a red card.
Yeah.
For diving and trying to get a penalty kick.
Italy's
that was
known for that. They have the reputation of being divers.
Right.
So
yeah.
Welcome to America.
More likely.
Yeah, gamesmanship is a thing. It happens in all sports. We've seen it in all sports, even in America. But I'm totally with you. I think in the NBA, it would be nice to see the walk be more manicured
I
by
can't
referees. Like, I don't want.
But I
Go
can't
ahead.
see y'all, but I'm starting to hear the alcohol, and it's pretty fucking beautiful.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Look, man, it's Gamesmanship. I mean, fuck, you guys know. It's starting to slur. I love it. I wish I was getting drunk with you guys on Tuesday,
you know what it
but
is.
I have shit to do in the morning.
I was a basketball referee back in the old days. Shoot, it's been like 20 years now, maybe 15, whatever it is. And I can't imagine a transition from, because I mean in college they're calling the travels and stuff pretty consistently. I can't imagine that transition into something where we just don't deal with that anymore. We just let them play the and one style ball.
Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there. So with that, Sherwin, let's talk about playoffs for a second. It's round 2, elimination picks. Currently, it's Logano, Boyer, Chase, and Blaney, kind of under the gun, if you will, in the last 4 spots. Brandon last week picked Boyer, Byron, Bowman, and Kozlowski, so he got one of those. I picked the 4 Bs, the Boyer, Byron, Bowman, Blaney deal, and I picked. That means I got 2 of them, Boyer and Blaney, and you picked Bowman, Blaney, Larson, and Hamlin. And we already talked about Larson deal, but you got one of those, so I'm doing a little bit better.
Whoops.
I was DFL last time, and speaking of DFL, that was your pick for last week at Dover was Chase.
Oh, God.
When we say DFL, it's dead, fill in the blank last.
Yeah. DFL is... It's a pretty easy acronym to understand.
Right, but before we get to any of that, we've got some Ask PTM questions. Mick Rose at GoDucks42_Mick. I believe, Drew, you've had some time to think about this one. He says, what's the funniest work prank that you have done or seen?
He said he was going to have something funny for this.
Sounded like you had something. I'll start because mine's going to be lamer. But we painted a dude's office pink. Like, we got the paint, and he, what was it? So when you face his office, you can't even tell that it's pink because we didn't paint all the walls. But when he got back and turned on his light, this was the whole deal. When he turned on his light, because it was the wall that was facing outward or inward or whatever, everything in the office turned pink. Because of this shade that we decided to do. So
that's funny.
We definitely painted straight up painted. And by the way, the company, when we moved out of that office, the management company, they were pissed about the fact that they had to repaint this one wall or whatever.
Oh, eat whatever.
Yeah, eat poo on that one. So that was probably my favorite, just in terms of as soon as we turned on that light, the fact that he was pretty much glowing pink at that point. That was awesome.
Yeah, so we package taped somebody's phone to the base.
Mm-hmm.
Like the old school phones that don't even exist anymore in corporate world.
Right.
Like you pick the phone up and the whole base comes up and like you're trying to answer.
So he took the whole thing with him when he tried
just taped the whole thing together.
Digging it. So sounds like you've had some amount of pre-thought on this one. Drew, what's your favorite office prank?
So when I was a public defender in Miami-Dade, same guy that I was in the hot tub with, Jimmy, who's my trial partner.
Old Jimmy.
Jimmy was a character. Let me tell 2 quick stories about Jimmy real quick.
Oh, yeah.
Jimmy had gotten arrested in New Orleans in law school.
Whoops.
And for some reason, that held up his getting passed for the bar in Florida, as if lawyers in Florida aren't fucking criminals as it is. Right. So he was this NYU graduate, brilliant, young, talented attorney with all this potential, who was hamstrung, couldn't be in court because he just hadn't gotten approved yet. He eventually did, but while we were waiting on him to get approved, he essentially became everyone's law clerk. Right. I had this case where I had this kid. He had dwarfism, His name, I don't remember, but his nickname that he went by, and he had it tattooed right here, it was Oompa, like Oompa Loompa.
On the forearm.
People can be offended that I'm calling a little person Oompa Loompa. I'm not. That was what he told me his fucking name was. So what Oompa was doing was Oompa had him a little gang in the trailer parks down there in Florida where they would throw him up, like they would find a window that was open up high, and they would throw his ass up into the window. He would latch on, crawl in. God damn, you can't make this up. And then go let him in. And he was doing that. He was in like this little, I say gang, not like gang like bang banger, but like, he had a crew of thieves. And he did that. He did that about 5 times. But when they arrested him, they bought him McDonald's and all that and tried to get him to cop to like literally 86 cases of breaking and entering. What the cop was doing was just took every unsolved, home robbery that he had and said, oh, this kid did it. And when you're a judge and you're looking at 5 cases in a week where this kid figured out this thing and then he went on it, he turned bad for a week and he did it versus 100 that's a huge difference. So we were going to fight it. Like we're going to, we're not copping to the ones we didn't fucking do kind of thing. Well, Jimmy was sort of my law clerk, so I sent him and I said, listen, this guy's going to come meet you, all right? And it's good I got him working on your case. He really, really likes to do the research, and he doesn't have anything else to do right now. He's like a bulldog. Well, when Jimmy walked into the cell the next day, Oomp was there, and he goes, what's up? My name's Oompa. Your name's Bulldog, right? The kid had put it in his head that Jimmy was called Bulldog, the same reason he was called Oompa, and wouldn't call Jimmy anything but Bulldog or Attorney Bulldog from then on. Well, Jimmy loved it. Like, of course he did.
Yeah. Eating it up.
Just eating it up. The other quick story, this isn't a story, just a description of Jimmy so you know who he is. He would wear like a crushed purple velvet suit to court. When he finally did get to where he could, be in court on the record, me and him would be trial partners together. He would be hungover every time. We won cases that we shouldn't have won all the time. I mean, this kid was brilliant and just a drunk. And he stunk because he smoked cigarettes. He looked like, he looked like an angry Joker in that purple outfit. Anyway, Jimmy took a picture of me and my wife that I had on my desk. And he cut out Lou Ferrigno's face. Like the Hulk. And he cut it out just so that it just fit over my head in my wedding picture.
That's funny.
He did it to scale so that I didn't notice it. According to him, when I finally did notice it, and I knew who did it immediately, it had been there for 3 months. So when I realized that, and I was like, well, I got to get back at him. But this is epic. Like, he told everyone in the office they were like taking bets on when I was going to figure it out. They had all forgotten about it when it finally did come back around and it happened. So I was like, all right, he got me. Everyone knows he got me. I got to get him back. But, how do I one up him here? Like, the beauty of what he did was in the subtlety. It was the fact that it took so long and it was one picture and I didn't notice it for so long. So I decided the way to get him back is to go the opposite route. The opposite of subtle. I printed out 400 pictures of the Jonas Brothers. I made my intern cut them into squares or individual pieces so that I had probably 800 pieces of paper that were the Jonas Brothers. And then I stuffed them in every nook and cranny in his office. I put them in his files, in his filing cabinet, in his law books. He had a coat rack where he had jackets for court. I put them down in there. I hung them on the wall. I taped them to the wall. So he comes to his door and he sees Jonas Brother like on the door and he's like, ha ha, takes it off, walks in. They're kind of laying around, ha ha, cleans it up, throws it away, sits down to do work, opens a file. Jonas Brothers. Ha ha, throw that away, get it out. Go to do research. Jonas Brothers. Everywhere. 2 years later, he left the juvenile division. I'm not even in Miami anymore. And a jacket he hadn't ever worn that had just been hanging in there, he went to move it and 4 Jonas Brothers pictures fell out of the jacket.
That's the long con.
That's balls out.
I short and long conned his ass. That's why I'm proud of it.
We've got a question from Lonnie at Hillbilly_Hydro. He says, I heard that your guest, Drew, has used to run the option like a pro. True?
Lonnie was my right guard my senior year. I think he played left guard or center my junior year. I graduated with Lonnie. What's up, Lonnie? Lonnie, I don't know if he wants me to say his last name. He's into some illicit things. But, yeah, that was, you guys said at the top of the show that I was all-state. That was why I'm fast. I don't have a big arm. We ran the option. And I actually got all-state as an athlete because I also returned kicks and punts and played defense.
So here it is. We got to gas it up. We're going to Dega. There it is.
What?
There it is. We're going to Dega next week. Last week, Sherwin Brandon picked Truex, who finished second. I picked Jimmy, who finished 8th. So respectable Jimmy. You know, that was my whole thing was like, all right, this is do or die for Jimmy. And then he finishes 8th. Like, what do you do? Like, is that a do? Is that a die? I don't know what the deal is. You picked Chase, who finished DFL.
DFL.
So it's time to make some picks. Drew, do you have a random pick for us for the Cup race coming up in Talladega?
Denny Hamlin.
Denny Hamlin.
I'm going to pick Harvick.
Harvick.
He drives a Ford, if I'm not mistaken, and I recognize his name. I'm not sure why. See, like all my uncles love NASCAR. My Uncle Mark's a truck driver, and he's the funniest person in my family by a lot. And I say that as a professional comedian. He make anything funny. Y'all were talking about lug nuts earlier. That's what he called everybody when they were being an idiot. Way to go, lug nut. Mm-hmm. He would say stuff like he'd burp, and he'd go, Fart took an elevator, and when you're 8, man, that murders. And he's a Ford man. My dad was a Ford man. And I just looked at the standings, and that's the number 1 Ford man, so we're going with Harvick.
Right on.
All right, that's a good pick.
You're up next.
I'm going to pick Joey Logano.
Oh, that was who I was going to pick. Joey is so strong at the I think I've picked him every Talladega since we went and watched him win. Whatever it was, 2 years ago or last year.
That was 2 years ago because we saw Chase win this year.
Yeah. So with that, hey, I'll pick Chase. Why not?
Yeah, why not?
So do the 2-timer at Talladega. So we got Harvick, Chase, and Joey for the picks. Shout-outs and everything else. Y'all be sure to go follow us and everything. But shout-outs to Lap Traffic. And, hey, MOATF is back. They're doing their thing. Love you guys. MOATF Podcast. Be sure to follow
That's
them.
Andrew and David across the big pond.
Yes, sir. So, with that, Drew, we're going to let you roll out at this point. Tell the folks what's coming up next, where they can find you.
Go to WellRED That's WELLRED comedy.com for all of the dates. Please follow me on the social medias at Drew Morgan Comedy on Twitter and Instagram. I'm also on Facebook. Just type in Drew Morgan. You'll see me. I'm like verified and all that. I'm verified on Instagram. Corey's not. It's not a big deal. We don't really talk about it. But
you can stick around with us on YouTube if you want to.
I got another podcast. I got the WellRED podcast. Me and DJ. If you enjoyed the episode with Gutter Bumpkin, a.k.a. DJ Lewis, a.k.a. Northwest Georgia Gutter Billy, a.k.a. Skinny Bumpkin. If you enjoyed that episode with him, he and I have a podcast called Into the Biscuit. And it's about, depression, failure, heartbreak. It's just a lot of fun, and I'm pumped about it.
Well, we're looking forward to that. And if you want to stick around with us on the YouTube for just a minute, we'd love for you to.
That's right. And before we do that, you know what the deal is. You can follow us at PTM Podcast, PTMPodcast.com. And as always on Twitter, I'm Tailgate Mayor Rusty Wallace at Tailgate Mayor.
Yeah, we're also PTM Podcast on Instagram, and I'm Andrew L. Sherwin on the Instagram as well, and Pregame Engineer on Twitter.
You don't know what the deal is, and Sydney just said it. Talladega. to Daytona, Bristol, Charlotte, and Sonoma. But we got Talladega coming up. Let's do it.
Yeah, and it's Sydney's birthday today, by the way. Happy birthday, Sydney.
We'll talk to y'all soon.
Still there, Drew?
I am.
My man.
All
We
right.
appreciate you being on, brother. We're still live on the YouTube. Excuse me.
We like to do something called PETM After Dark, but you don't have to stay very long. It's up to you. But
Okay.
this is where we really cut it loose because Rusty's got to do a whole lot of
Oh yeah, this is all the IT
computer
crap.
work.
Yeah.
Um,
Who do y'all have that does your like IT stuff?
Corey does all that with the podcast, if that's what you mean.
Yeah.
For the most part, we're part of like a studio. Starburns Enterprises. We're with the Sklar brothers. It's called Sklar Country Podcast Network, and they help out. But Corey does a lot of it to his credit as far as the pod goes. We don't do a lot of video stuff. We just started, and we're trying to work that out.
Right on.
Cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Rusty, I mean, the most important thing for us is iTunes. And, I mean, the YouTube stuff is fun. We do that as kind of a bonus because we assume most people want to listen through iTunes or whatever, whatever their app is that they like, Google Play or Spotify or whatever it is they use. But,
Right.
but we do like to do, because we do the YouTube, we like to do
Doo-doo.
like the front end, the we do like to do the front end stuff and the back end stuff, so people that are willing to commit their time to to the craziness that is our podcast and watch on YouTube, we like to offer them something more than what iTunes is.
So
It's kind of like a bonus.
all that said, appreciate you being on, and we've had a blast. Thank you for hanging out with us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. It's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, we enjoyed the hell out of it, obviously, and we certainly enjoyed the hell out of your comedy. We've been consuming it probably more than anybody should healthily consume it.
You know what it is? You know what it is? It's a great way for us to get to a track. I think we listened to it. We listened to the Lexington album on the way to, was it Bristol or Darlington?
Darlington,
Darlington,
I think.
and just had an absolute blast listening to that. It really makes the whole thing go by really fast, even when you're driving and everything. So,
Where are y'all?
what's that?
Where are you located? Where you live?
We're in Atlanta.
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For some reason I thought it was North Carolina. I was going to say we're being in Charlotte at the end of October. Raleigh's in December. I fucked up when I said Raleigh earlier. It's Charlotte, October.
Charlotte, right on. So that's about a 3-hour deal.
Yeah, I mean, it's politics are some weird stuff to try to wander around in, but we really appreciate what you guys are doing, and I don't know. We just enjoy it. I don't know what to say. I appreciate the hell out of it. I laugh at you guys a lot. I've listened to your album
get to a live show because if you like the podcast, you'll probably like the live show a lot better.
Oh yeah, the live show's
I
And
mean, I
the,
can't wait to see the live show.
But we will be back in Atlanta.
right on. Have you you've played Atlanta already?
Yeah, we did Atlanta the first week of the tour. That was actually the first stop. We did a little pop-up show in Knoxville that was free.
Okay.
And then this first official stop of the tour was Punchline. And
Punchline.
then we've done
Yeah.
a theater in Buckhead, and we did
Roxy?
So that might be it, because it's actually one of the most underserved cities for a variety of reasons. We were going to do our album there, and no reason to get into it. Stuff happened, and so
Sure.
we didn't. But we had, you've like already got the contracts in place. It's like oh, we just can't go back to Atlanta for a little while because we're now busy for the next little bit. And that kind of thing kept happening. It also happened with a festival.
Yep.
And so it's been a while since we've been to Atlanta, but I think we're working on it for the spring.
So
spring. We're in for spring.
Yeah,
for
we're definitely in. I love the punchline. We've seen Bert Kreischer at what was it, Tabernacle?
Yep,
where we saw
Tabernacle.
Bert. We saw.
Oh shit, we did Terminal
Terminal
West.
Yep.
Yes. Yep. We've seen Joe Rogan. We actually
as well.
saw Bill Bird
Bill
do
Burr
his
at
black
Tabernacle.
and white special at the Tabernacle.
Corey was at one of those recordings with his dad.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Oh, that's badass.
I think the Tabernacle might be too big for us. You know how many it holds?
3,500, I think.
Yeah, that's probably. I mean, the biggest we've done was in Austin, and it was like 1,900. I'm gonna take my shirt off. I'm hot.
Oh, y'all can do it. Y'all can do it. I guarantee you can do it.
Yeah, it's all good. But we'll. I don't know. Is Tabernacle that big? I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's right around 3,000.
Cool.
My dog's here.
Awesome. What's up, dog?
What's up, Pooch?
What's the dog's name?
That's Mick Jagger, and that's my wife Andy.
Hello.
I heard about Andy.
Looks like she brought.
Is she gonna be on the show here?
You want her to be on the show?
Come on, Andy.
Come here, baby. I think I just heard her go nah. And
Drew took his shirt off, so.
No. The show's over. This is what they call after dark.
Oh yeah, this is the After Dark, without a doubt.
That's
Does she have
right.
to take her shirt off?
I'm not doing that.
Well, I mean, she can, but she don't have to.
Well, I was just kidding.
Andy, I have loved hearing every time that you have been like the replacement of the WellRED Comedy podcast. I've enjoyed every minute of that because I think you are hilarious.
Thank you. I'm not as good at podcasting as these guys are.
I
but-
disagree. I keep trying to get her to do one.
I'm with Drew on this. I think you guys should definitely have your
when I
own
get
show.
sick, she like makes me tea and she puts a bunch of dumb shit in it, and then I'm supposed to like hold my nose and close my eyes and count to 8, and then it works. And I keep telling her, do a podcast about being a witch.
So Andy, tell
sorry,
everybody
that's
that's
how I say
watching.
give me.
Oh, she's talking. Sorry, I interrupted
I'm sorry,
you.
what?
No, I was saying, tell everybody that's watching, it's not a lot of people, but tell them what you're doing as an actress. Like, what shows or movies or whatever it is you're doing.
Well, I mean, I'm just out here in LA doing the grind, auditioning for everything I can. I made a movie, that's a short film called Pusher. And we're doing the festival circuit right now. So playing in New York City this weekend. So just kind of like going on a festival tour with that and auditioning and writing other stuff right now. So that's, I guess, the rundown. Not super exciting.
No, it's fine. No, it's super exciting.
She's real good at selling herself.
No, it's
y'all don't watch this.
Pusher has won an award or been nominated for an award at almost every festival that it's been in. You can't watch it yet because apparently there's this rule, like if you're in festivals, you can't put it out to the public. But once that happens to be over, she'll put it out on her YouTube page. You can also follow her on Facebook and the social medias, and you can see her little characters that she does, like Rayla and old Jeff, who's a pervert. I think you guys would identify with him. And that's a joke, everybody. And yeah. Oh, and she was in Gotham. The show Gotham.
Little thing in Gotham.
That was a pretty decent show.
Drew should be my manager.
There you go.
Well,
You know what?
we can try.
That's right.
You guys
He
want
takes
to
his
do
shirt
mine?
off and is like, "Hey, what's up now?"
All right, well, I turned the air off so you guys could hear us. It's 1,000,000 degrees in my house because I live in a desert.
All right, well, go turn the air on, and we really appreciate you joining us. Andy, it was also great to meet you
It
on
was
Skype.
great talking to y'all. Sorry, I'm not better at selling myself.
No, you good. We'll definitely have Drew on again. I think.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. But Drew, this is awesome. Thank you very much for being on the show. And we'll talk to you soon. We're already up on iTunes and everything else. We said we do not edit the show.
There's no editing. So, Drew, all your F words are going to come out and bloom.
Fuck yeah.
Right on. Drew, thanks for joining, and we'll talk to you soon, brother.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Hey, let us know when you're in Atlanta. Love to come see you.
Hell yeah.
Awesome.
Bye,
all right, brother. Take care. We'll see you soon. There it is, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen. That's it. We'll talk to y'all soon.
Yeah.
I don't even have the right episode number on with the main page, but so be it. We'll talk to y'all soon. Let's see. I can probably edit that as we're sitting here.
After dark, going to happen sometimes.
2:15, and today is October 8th. Oh, not 89th, 8th, 2019. There it is. But thank y'all for joining, and we'll talk to y'all next week.
See y'all.